right off the bat, just want to let you know, originally I was gonna play in these for like 5 to 10 hours, do like an actual detailed performance review after I know how they feel on court, but I rolled the shit out of my ankle the other week. Last time I did that was actually a broken foot, and it kind of felt similar to that this time on the same damn foot. So I'm waiting to see if I actually broke it this time. So can't play in these shoes yet, but I wanted to review it anyway because the algorithm gods of YouTube requires that you keep pumping out content to keep your channel alive. But I'm gonna talk a lot about the design, the tech specs of this shoe, as well as the colorway as always. So with that said, in time for Lunar New Year 2026, here is Luka Doncic's new signature shoe, Jordan Luka 5 Year of the Horse. And the shoe is supposedly dropping sometime soon. The release date has not been confirmed, but it will drop for $145. And of course, this is part of the Year of the Horse pack that Jordan Brand and Nike is pushing out annually every year for Chinese New Year. They have dropped a bunch of colorways. This year, it is the Year of the Horse. So far, I have honestly not seen anything too impressive for this year's Lunar New Year colorways. The Jar 3 was pretty nice, but nothing like overwhelmingly crazy or anything. There's like a special Jordan 1 Low OG that just, I don't know what they're doing. I don't love that. And in the past few years, they've usually dropped like an insane kind of limited shoe in Asia specifically. So last year it was that Xuanwu Jordan 1. Year before that was the Jordan 1 Year of the Dragon Air Force 1. This year, I haven't seen anything announced yet, but hopefully they're gonna come up with some insane Year of the Horse shoe and it'll blow our socks off, even though most of us won't be able to get our hands on them. But first impressions of the shoe, design wise, I've never loved any of Luka's shoes. They just seem kind of boring. Jordan Brand, honestly, for their athletes, at least for basketball, just I don't know, I don't really love any of them. It's kind of underwhelming. It just seems lazy, kind of boring. And these, just my opinion, I feel like it's not too nice as well. Kind of looks like Zion's. And yeah, doesn't get me super excited. The colorway though, I think is pretty nice. Brown, gold. As you get older, for some reason, you start to like brown a lot more. So that's a nice thing. Kind of like the storytelling of it, but I think it's okay. But nothing that's too overwhelmingly nice. And in terms of the materials on this particular colorway, it is textile. So on like the first Venom colorway, there's like mesh. On this, it's just textile, and you do see like the embroidery that is specific and special to the Year of the Horse colorway. So it comes with a lot of like Chinese or Asian inspired motifs. So you have the horse. You'll also have Luka's logo, as well as designs commonly seen in Chinese architecture, Chinese artwork. So that's pretty intricate there, and I like how subtle it is, not too like out there, not in your face. There is also a little bit of mesh in this little cutout right here too, so it provides some ventilation there. And you will see around the toe box area, as well as the overlays, that is just synthetic leather. And on the bottom of the eyelets, you will get the little jump man, and then moving up the tongue, you'll get this mesh tongue, and at the very top, you'll see more designs and embroidery on the base of the tongue. And then on top, it is actually mismatched. So on the right shoe, you'll just get like Luka's logo. On the left shoe, you will get one with a horse in it, of course, playing into the colorway. And that is meant to resemble like a wax seal. So really like how they designed that there. And on the inside of the tongue, on the right shoe, you'll actually get this little mini heart. And the red colors chosen here, that is pretty like commonly seen on Chinese New Year related colorways. So if you didn't know, during Chinese New Year, people will give each other, usually relatives or like sometimes friends, close friends, like red pockets full of money. And red often symbolizes good fortune and prosperity. So you'll see most years for these Lunar New Year colorways, red embedded throughout some of the shoes. And the shoe does come with one extra set of laces. So out of the box, this deep dark brown, and the extra set is like this gold, bronze, light brown type of color. Between the two, I usually do like dark colors better, so probably just stick with the brown, but soft. It's pretty similar. Can't really go wrong with either. And you'll see this heel, it's kind of like this inner booty that cups your foot in place. So it's like separate from the actual heel, like outer of the materials. So that is similar to the past Lukas. And speaking of this area, you do see like the past Lukas, it has that Latin phrase, non desistas, non exerius. I'm sure I am pronouncing it as good as I can cook, which is absolutely useless, but that means never give up, never surrender. And in terms of the cushioning of the Luka 5, it is actually pretty stacked. So it does come with Cushlon 3.0 midsole as well as Zoom Strobel unit. So if you didn't know, traditionally you'll have a Zoom mirror kind of embedded into a midsole. So depending on where that Zoom mirror is stuffed into the midsole, it could be like bottom loaded, where it's further down, top loaded, further up towards the midsole. And the general kind of concept is the closer to your feet the Zoom mirror is, the more responsive it is. So Zoom Strobel takes out the Strobel board in the traditional sense, and the only thing kind of separating you from the cushioning itself is just that insole. And the insole of the shoe, it is pretty much hot trash. It has the same kind of bronze brown color as the upper. Quality just not so good. You can see it's like indented. That is where the Zoom Strobel goes. Of course, inside you do see this delicious Zoom Strobel. The Cushlon 3.0 foam is just super plush, very comfortable, just feels so nice on feet. Like I could walk around in that all day. The first basketball shoe to actually use Cushlon 3.0 was actually the Sabrina 2s. Really love that shoe, love how it felt on feet. Now, one thing people are very cautious about when it comes to Cushlon 3.0 foam is the durability. And it definitely does not have the greatest durability compared to like a rubber cup sole or something like that, definitely. But I do think it's worth that kind of trade-off. You know, maybe one day they'll come out with just as good foam with insane durability. But personally, I've just really always loved Cushlon 3.0. And the Zoom Strobel provides so much responsiveness, but it's not like too soft. So oftentimes, if a basketball shoe has cushioning that is just way too soft, too plush, you can like feel a little unstable, like your foot's gonna roll over. There needs to be some type of firmness with the cushioning. And I feel like, at least right now, without playing like too many hours in it, this does strike a really good balance. For casual, if you're not like a hooper or anything, and you just wanna wear these like around off court, definitely you can wear this all day. It feels so nice. And in terms of the outsole here, this is a hard rubber outsole, herringbone, tried and true. Can't really go wrong with this type of traction pattern. Again, haven't played like extensive hours with this shoe, but I feel like this will do pretty decently. Unless you're playing in a gym that's just like awfully maintained, then, you know, not many shoes are going to perform too well in that. But I feel like this is going to be a very versatile type of traction. Will work on most gyms that have at least an average level of maintenance. Outdoors, you could use this as well. It's not like the stiffest or like the hardest type of rubber, but traction-wise, I think it'll do well. One word of caution though, you might get a ton of rocks stuck between the herringbone, so probably for me, I would stick indoors for this shoe. And then right in the middle, you'll actually see this little cutout window, and this little cutout, you can actually see right through to the Strobel that states the tech specs of the shoe. So it says Luka Air Zoom Strobel Cushlon 3.0 ISO band. And speaking of ISO band, that is something that's new introduced on the Luka 5. And you'll see that basically wrapping around the entirety of the shoe, starting from the forefoot area, wrapping around the heel to the lateral side. And it didn't get away with the ISO plate. So past Lukas, starting from the Luka 1, it uses the ISO plate, which kind of moves away from like a traditional shank plate. So kind of has a different type of shape, and that is specifically designed for Luka's playstyle. So if you've ever watched him play, he's slow. He's not the most athletic guard, but he changes speed a lot. So from like slow to stationary to extra slow. And he also decelerates a lot, again, from slow to very, very slow. So they're designed that kind of played with support and stability in mind instead of maximizing like kinetic energy return. So oftentimes the shank plate in a traditional sense, not only does it help with stability and torsional rigidity, it also helps with kinetic energy return. One thing that I don't love is the heel counter here does feel like a kind of mushy, soft type of heel counter. Doesn't feel as solid as some other Jordan shoes or Nike shoes have come. So that's one thing to look out for. And you do see, from a bird's eye view especially, the outrigger is very decent with a pretty decently wide base. So that also improves stability. In terms of the forefoot bend here, it's actually pretty tough. In terms of the twisting, It's not the most solid compared to some other basketball shoes that I have felt. Now in terms of the core feel for the shoe, relatively low to the ground. It's not the lowest basketball shoe that I've ever felt. I do feel like the Sabrina 2s or AE1s felt a little lower to the ground, so a lot of basketball players do prefer that. This still though has pretty good core feel. The box of the shoe, similar colors to the shoe itself, with Luka's logo on top, and the paper inside, same type of Chinese inspired patterns that you see on the upper of the shoe itself. Now in terms of sizing and comfort, I am a wide and flat footer. For these, obviously never worn them before, had no idea how to size it. I went true to size. Like a lot of other Jordan shoes and Nike shoes, I just don't feel like as a big fat wide footer, you can get perfect sizing for these. In the toe box area, it is tight. Not as bad as the Jordan 40. I went up half size in those and still killed my toe box, but this, not far behind. It is quite tight up here. Also, in terms of the length, I'm pretty much at the tip of the shoe. So if you do have very wide feet, you might be able to go up half a size. But basketball shoes, I always hesitate to go up half a size just because if you get the sizing wrong when there's a little bit of wiggle room, there can be like heel slippage. Obviously, you don't want that when you're like running around, jumping, exploding. It is not good. But for these, yeah, it's just from like the upper half, just doesn't feel great. But I will say, even as a flat footer, a lot of times we have problems with the arch area because we don't have an arch, so it can dig up into our feet. I didn't feel that here, but the forefoot, the toe box area, it is tight. So if you have feet deformed like mine, you might consider going up half a size. And in terms of the weight, a bit over 15 ounces for this colorway specifically for my size. Not the lightest basketball shoe that I've reviewed recently, actually slightly on the heavier side. Now, I will say some other colorways might be slightly lighter because this material on this shoe has like all textile with the embroidery patterns. Some other colorways might shave off like 0.5 to 1 ounce depending on what it is. But honestly, as a 90s and 2000s kid, you had shoes like the LeBron 4s coming out that felt like an absolute just ginormous brick shit house. Under 16 ounces, I can definitely deal with. So without having played hours and hours on this shoe, do I have a final verdict in terms of performance? No, that wouldn't be fair for me to say. I really need some core time on this. But in terms of the design and the tech specs, like on foot initially, as well as on paper, I think this is probably his most stacked shoe. If you want to wear this off court, you definitely can. Feel super comfortable. I will say I've never really loved any of the Luka shoes, just design-wise, including this. And performance-wise, I will judge soon, but at least initially, I do feel like it'll hold up pretty well. So that's it. Thanks for watching. So inclined. Let me know what you think of the Jordan Luka 5 Year of the Horse. Like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. And remember, tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes